So, hello Facebook. We're also live on the Zoom webinar as well. So it's the first time we're doing it this way. We have chucked out Webinar Jam. So this is the new way of us doing these webinars, and hopefully we should have fewer technical issues, famous last words, than we've had before. I'm really looking forward to this one. It feels like I haven't done one of these for a very long time. But I think this has maybe just been a little bit of a gap since the last one that we did. But I'm joined by Nicky, Bartley, who we did a little Facebook kind of plug yesterday for this, and we got a lot of interest on that. So I'm looking forward to having people join, and obviously there's a lot of interest in your story, Nicky, having gone from very few clients or virtually no clients to now having the very high quality problem of too many people who want to work with you and not enough time. So it's a problem that I'm sure many others would want. And I know we're probably going to get a lot of questions on that, but let's just start off with, for people that don't know you, and I'm just going to pin your video so people are looking at your face rather than mine. But for people that don't know you, Nicky, tell us a little bit about yourself, and who you are, what kind of coaching you do, what's your background. Just give us a little bit of background about you.
Oh, okay. So I'll try and keep it relevant. Yeah, so I'm a life coach, a transformation coach, whatever you want to call me. I love working. I've got a preference to working with business leaders, whether that's in corporations or as coaches or in small businesses. And I use the 3 principles to help support that and to help them get results, get what they want. So yeah, that's about, and I suppose what's also relevant is that wasn't my first, before I came across the principles, I was already a coach. I was a coach for 18 months. And that 18 months I made £250 with one client. It was a real struggle, on the verge of bankruptcy and, having my house. So a lot's changed, thankfully.
And where are you now? So I've kind of given a little bit of a plug, but we did this on the Facebook Live the other day, but just in case people haven't seen that, kind of, you say you like working business leaders, but just give everyone a little bit of a background. And I know we've got people listening in 2 places. Adam Ash says, sup to. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that in a Scottish accent.
Hey,
Kush and Nicky. Anka is watching us. If you're on Facebook Live, feel free to send us some messages on the side and ask any questions you've got as we go through today. And I know we've got a bunch of people joining us on Zoom. So hi Fiona, are we recording in Zoom? Yes, we are, but we're also streaming it live. The recording here is kind of a backup, if you like. Niels is saying bye-bye Webinar Jam, yay. So that's great. But if you could give everyone a bit of a kind of a flavor as to what your coaching practice looks like, because it's quite varied.
Yeah, it is quite varied. So at the moment I'm working with 2 organisations. One's a prison and their leadership team, because they had a spate of suicides and their staff were really struggling. So I'm working with those, and I'm also working with a large tech organisation, a corporation, with their leadership team around gender, interestingly enough. And I have one-to-one clients, a few of which are coaches. I think 5 actually now are coaches. 2 world-class athletes, one a world champion in his field and the other silver medalist. I work with people who have panic attacks. I also I love marketing. I love the world of marketing. I've learned a lot about marketing during my journey. And I love working around the myths around marketing. So, yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell. I've got the Jedi Leaders group, as you know. So, yeah, I do anything. Anything goes. Rules are, there are no rules. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I'm going to have to manually just pin my video. So to get this working, maybe I'll work it out later, how to do this properly. But no, that's great. It kind of gives a flavour of the work that you do, and how varied it is across the board, from athletes to corporates to prisons to coaches. I know you work across the board, and you say that you love marketing. And what I'm going to do, I'm thinking about this webinar for about an hour, is we'll do it as we've done it before. I'd love to interview you a little bit, bring out a kind of the topic that we're talking about today, which is the one thing missing from your marketing. And then I really want to open it up, because I know we've got a ton of questions from people that we've had already around either what we talk about today, or then generally about how on earth, what have you done? What have you done in 9 months to have gone from virtually nothing to a place where you're so in demand? So we'll try and get through as many of those as we can. But just to start off with Nicky, what is the one thing? Let's just get to it. What's the one thing that's missing from people's marketing? You know, is it certain copy? Is it certain words? You know, what is it? What's missing?
So if I was to sum it up, what is missing from people's marketing is service. You know, people look at their marketing as advertising themselves and advertising the coaching, advertising the business. And I don't see marketing that way. And actually not seeing marketing that way is what's grown my business. You know, what was missing from my marketing was me serving my clients, serving my audience, like really showing up as who I am. And, you know, across the board in Facebook ads, emailing, content that I post on social media, conversations I have, the groups that I run, like the essence of it is about how can I help you? What will really, really benefit you? You know, I can only do that from me, from my, you know, from a place, from my heart, you know, from where I am. Yeah, so I guess, I don't know if that's clear or if anyone...
Well, what does that mean, Nicky? So this word service has been bandied around a lot. People might not even know what marketing is, right? And you're talking about bringing your heart in. What does that mean, and what does that look like?
So for me, and for my clients actually, you know, I'm looking to, like most people are looking to add things to the marketing, like finding a way of being. And the only way that works is your way of already being, like the way you already are is good enough. You don't need to brand yourself or add anything into it or be a certain way. You don't need to refine your language. I have a bit of a joke with a few of my friends about my accent, because they think I speak posh, and yet I know my clients think my accent's really strong. You know, I don't try, like I just speak how I speak. And yet there was a time where I was really embarrassed about my accent in coaching and on webinars and on live streams. So I was always trying to like curtail and speak nicely, speak eloquently. And like that's pointless, because they get on a call with me and they're going to get the real me, because you slip in and out of it. You know, that facade that people build of super coach, of being the expert. You can't, you know, it's so much work to keep that up. So drop it and just be you. Really help people from there. And that means that, you know, once you start being truthful with who you are, you can really be truthful with other people. You can be honest in what you're seeing. So, you know, I mean, we might touch this later, but I'm writing a book on this now. And one of the things I wrote earlier in the book was, and I said this to a client, like coaching is all about uncovering truths and exposing lies. And, you know, that's true for me too. And that's true in what I see in my audience and in my clients, and being able to say that to them honestly and openly.
So real talk now, Nicky, right? What did you used to do before? Like, and if you could give some examples, because I think that would really bring it to life for people.
That's embarrassing. I could show you examples, probably. I could find them online. So I did you know, over 3 years ago now, 3.5 years ago, I decided to become a coach. And I did a weekend coach training, really good coach training actually. And I came home and I deleted my Facebook because I thought, well, no one's going to work with me. Like, they want an expert, they want someone who's going to be an expert. So I deleted my Facebook and I set up a new profile. And I thought, well, it's really hard to set up a new profile and add all my friends because they're going to know that I'm faking it. So I didn't add anyone I knew. Like, not just friends, I didn't add anyone that I knew whatsoever. So I added people that knew me from the coach training I'd just done, the weekend, and I built it from there. And I cultivated an expert image, and I sat there for months, putting lovely memes on, really powerful, positive stuff, got lots of likes, no clients. I spent thousands of pounds on then learning how to build my list, use MailChimp properly. And again, great copy, great headlines, all of that stuff. I learned how to build my own website. I did that. I learned how to create my own logo and my own colours and make it consistent across all of these things that I really thought were important for my image, to be a professional coach. I was doing, and I was doing no coaching whatsoever. So the kind of make six figures overnight kind of thing, it all looked real to me. It all looked like that was where my answer was. There was something I was missing. There was some step in the process that I wasn't doing. There's some strategy that I hadn't yet learned. There's some technique that that I'm sure many of you can relate to. I did all of that. I spent around £40,000 doing that, learning that stuff from really high profile professionals that, really good internet marketers that are selling to other internet marketers. And I was still missing something. So yeah, they're the things I tried before I started getting any traction. And then I was posting in other people's groups too, again, advertising me, advertising my service, how great I am, what I can do, what results you can get. I wasn't really getting to know someone. I wasn't really getting, and I was making judgments on what I thought they wanted to and what they needed. It really looked to me like they needed to be like this too to change their life, even though it wasn't happening to me. And I was quite convinced that my life would change once I got that client, once I got paid. That was what was in the way of holding my life back. Yeah.
So what does it practically look like to bring love and service into your marketing? Because it can sound a bit wishy-washy, right? Like, well, what does that mean, right? Do I just say, well, I don't care if you hire me, I'm just going to give you a hug, right? Like, what does it look like to bring love and service into your marketing?
Sometimes, I give lots of hugs, but love and service is about honesty and integrity and not being afraid of that, not being afraid to say, like, call someone out on the bullshit. People are lying to themselves. I lied to myself for so long, and people actually had the opportunity to say, nah, that isn't true, Nicky. And no one was. What they were saying is, no, it's because you still need to learn how to use active campaigns better than MailChimp, and you need a better funnel. Because, that's what it looked like to them. But I really, that's bullshit. And if someone had told me that, someone had seen that, and I would have really appreciated it. I'd say £40,000, 8 months of trouble, a trip to bankruptcy court. It would have just, because it's effortless to be me. I don't have to watch my P's and Q's. I don't have to grow me into something else. I can turn up with all my faults. Like, my clients really know my faults. I mean, that, Kush. It's funny because my partner will say to me, I've read your newsletter this morning. I didn't know that had happened. Because I'm really open about what I see. Because I know it's valuable to people. I want to know. That's why we're all here on the webinar. We all want to know. We all want to know what's out there, what's really going on.
Well, people can certainly relate to this because Matt online has just said you're describing me 6 months ago, and I'm sure many people have kind of gone through this where they can relate to, going to marketing courses, learning this, learning that, and I know for me it didn't feel right. It was like, oh, I'm learning about this great thing called the three principles, which are having a huge impact in my own life, and then I've got to go out and do this other stuff, which kind of feels very outside in, very not in alignment with the principles in order to grow a business. And it never really kind of fit together. So, God, sorry, what were you going to say?
I guess for me, that's the key too. So for me, that's another thing that I did. So I saw, I've done this coach training, and I'm a reasonable coach, and I knew I would get better. Okay. And now I'm learning the marketing piece, and I'll also learn the business side. And I didn't see that they're all one. I didn't see the connection. Like, they looked three distinct areas to me. Like, my main problem was learning to coach, which I did. And then it was learning to market, and that would enable me to coach. And the missing thing, it's a coaching, I describe it as the coaching circle, and the glue that holds that together is how you show up as you, honestly, in your relationships at home, in your relationships with friends, family, people you meet. Like, the kindest thing you can do for people is be honest. And you can do that. You don't have to be unpleasant about that. I wouldn't be unpleasant about that until I am, and even that, it's just like that complete acceptance, and you can't separate your business into your certainly a coach can't anyway. I have worked with other businesses that can do it a little bit differently, but for a coach, like, you're a coach first. Yeah, and a coach helps people, and sometimes helping people means being honest. Like, what would you really do to be on their side, like be on their team constantly? What do they need to see? What do they need to hear? Where do you need to point them? And you can do that through what people call your marketing. You don't have to. Like, I don't use copy. I post whatever comes out of my mouth. Literally do. Everywhere.
I love that, because one of the things that I love about the stuff you write online, it's so real, and it's so you, and it's so different because it is you, and there's only one of you, and you do it so well. And I know when I now am getting more and more turned off by anything that I can see is, someone's lifted it from, marketing 101, internet marketing 101, where it's like the 3 keys to whatever, or the 6 steps, or the one missing ingredient, or are you da 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 da, and it's like you can see it. It becomes the same as everything else, and it doesn't stand out. And what I love about the stuff you write is it is very real. It's very honest, and I think that's certainly what I see is what people connect to you with. And I think what you're pointing to in terms of this thing that underlines service is what I'm also hearing is realness. And not afraid to be who you are and say what you want to say, because people don't want to engage with a polished version of you because they can't connect and relate to that. They want to engage with you, who they can connect to, a real human being.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about and for for the benefit of everyone. And by the way, if people have got questions, please either comment on Zoom or on Facebook Live. Anything you've got to ask Nicky, please do so. I know we've got some questions already, but tell me how you got some of your clients. So how does this translate into people actually paying you?
I love that. That's a really great question. One of my clients asked me that last night, actually. So he's probably going to watch this back, so he's heard it before, but I think it'll help him again. So he said to me, I really want to get into corporate. How did you do it? And it's the simplest of techniques. I picked up the phone and I spoke to HR and I said, who do I need to speak to? Who would be able to authorise spending money on coaching? And I got a name and I had conversations with them. And that they didn't just come on the phone and say, oh yeah, we'll have a conversation. You know, it was actually, oh, you can't speak to them. Here's their email address. You know, so I emailed them and we had conversations and they said no. And then they come back and said, oh, you know, can you do this? And we, you know, we got on the phone and it took 9 months for me to work with the prison. Has taken 9 months for them to say yes. It wasn't like, oh yeah, of course, you know. In fact, the prison aren't even paying me. I got the tech organisation to pay me for the work that I'm doing in the prison. You know, it's because I really wanted to do that work. And the prison was saying, we've got no money. You know, the funding was pulled when they originally agreed to work with me. It's like, well, I'll get the money from somewhere else. Where can I get it from? And then I spoke to this tech organisation over a period of 4 or 5 months. And they wanted me then to work with their female leadership team. You know, when I heard what was going on with them, and I really heard that actually they've got some issues with gender, or they haven't, they've got issues with thought they think is gender, you know, the same old story. But and once they agreed to work with me, I said, right, okay, I know that you've got a social conscience. And I know this probably isn't like something you'd usually do, but I want to do this work in prisons. Can you see how valuable it'd be? You know, and I told them what was going on with suicides and staff stress. And he said, absolutely, he's £15,000, go and do it. You know, and it's like you don't. So I hear words like get creative and stuff, and I want to say that, but it isn't. It's like, I didn't know that I was going to do that. I've got no plans to do that. I'm going to ask them. And I made the decision and asked them there and then. And the difference between me, who's doing it, is you're not. It's that simple. It's that can sound pretty brutal, and it is. I'm doing it, you're not. Simple. Pick up the phone.
What I'm hearing really in that, Nicky, and what I've kind of see the difference of what you're doing versus a lot of other coaches is precisely that one piece, pick up the phone. And it sounds almost too simple, but the number of times I've seen coaches create strategies, think about what they want to do, have really good ideas, do arm's length marketing, as you alluded to, as opposed to, where do I want to work? Let me pick up the phone. Who do I know? Let me pick up the phone. And going straight into conversation. And because as 3 principles coaches, that's our strong point, is relationship and connection. And we're not leveraging that. We actually try and go down a marketing route, which isn't generally our strong point as 3P coaches.
Yeah.
And that's something that I see you do very differently, is leverage that thing that all of us as 3P coaches are good at, which is relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess it's something to describe it. And again, I've avoided saying the word, but it's action. It's like who cares? I've had so many people and still have so many people say no to me, you know, and we'll have loads more, I'm sure. And they'll say no to me one day and say yes to me the next. You know, that's what happens to me. It's like, I'm not bothered. And I know that I don't fully understand the law of action and, you know, all of that, but it happens. Something happens. You get a result, you get feedback. And I'm not in charge of what that result is, but I'm gonna go with it. So yeah, you know, I mean, the Jedi leaders group, the whole ethos around that is action. You know, it's just effing do it. Like, you're in charge of what you do, and it always looks like we need a to-do list for like a how-to first. Like, you don't. You'll find out how you do it is different than how I'll do it, which I'm sure you know.
So I want to get to some of the questions we've got. And Shalini Pereira, I don't know if you're online, Shalini, either on Facebook or not. If you are, you can just say hello. But Shalini sent a message yesterday, said, what are your thoughts on niching for new coaches?
That's a really good question. I don't really have any. I'm not bothered whether you niche or not. If there's someone you want to work with, if you only want to work with women who are of a certain age, that do a certain job. You know, say, imagine social work. If you want to work with female social workers, like, that's niching. You know, that's cool. That's you can do that, but you don't have to either. There's no one doesn't work better than the other, because it isn't about that. That's an internet marketing thing. You know, if you're not sure who you want to work with, then the best thing you've got going for you is, well, you've got more people to work with then. You know, you haven't got just female social workers. You've got like 7.3 billion people in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, so I've got no thoughts either way on it, really.
Yes, I got asked this question the other day in the group that I'm running for coaches, and one of the things that I won't say the whole answer, but one of the things I said is let your niche find you. And I think I'm like you, I think there's positives and negatives. What I find is that a lot of coaches think they need a niche first, spend a whole lot of time finding a niche, trying to get a niche together, and then going, right, let me go out and market to that niche, as opposed to let me go and talk to people I'm in relationship with already, or build relationship with people and work out, is that good or not? Because, I know someone who created a really looked like a really profitable niche, spent thousands of pounds on a marketing consultant, and a year down the line had no clients, and then thought, oh, maybe this isn't the right niche for me. And instead, what he could have done is forgotten the niche, gone out and started talking to people in that arena, and worked out straight away, well, maybe let me change it, and then see who showed up into his world. Is that something that you resonate with?
Absolutely. You know, it isn't that I think niching is a bad thing. If you really, really know that what you want to do is only work with a particular client type, then you wouldn't even be asking that question, really. Do you know what I mean? It's an indication not to niche and to try just working with someone, is if you have to ask that question, because you're asking it for it to be a strategy to get clients, and the strategy to get clients is service and being yourself.
So the follow-up question from Shalini is, how did you go about creating programs, i.e. structure and pricing?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, actually. So my visibility toolkit came as a result of, I had a program with another coach called the Principles of Preeminence. And this is, of course, when I started to work with you, when I started to realise that the Principles of Preeminence was all about being preeminent and getting clients from being preeminent. And something wasn't fitting well with that, So a lot of people were saying, what's preeminence mean anyway? I mean, you might have that question yourself and don't want to ask. So that means preeminence means being an expert in your field and being the one that everyone looks up, like the guru, and that makes sense then for people to work with you. And that's the whole concept of being preeminent. And that started to look like bullshit to me. And I was like, this isn't actually, I don't think that this is right. And so we started to test that out, of course, didn't we? But, I did personally, and realised that preeminence might be something that follows. Who cares? But it's what gets your clients a service, 100%. And so what I realised that people were saying was, well, where are my clients? Because I'd started to get clients, I love Instagram, really love Instagram. I love Facebook Lives and webinars and doing stuff like this. I thought, well, that's how I get my clients. And I sat down and I looked at that and I thought, people think that's visibility. Okay, people think, oh, that's about being visible. And so I'm going to develop a program called the Visibility Toolkit to teach them really the art of being visible. It's like they're already visible. Your audience, you don't have to go anywhere for your audience. They're already there. What you have to do is start giving them content that really serves them and start having honest conversations, start having those conversations and really deep listening. And it's not something you can do, it's something that you are. You are that already. And when you move away from it, when you start thinking you can become preeminent first and then get the clients, or you can write a great headline on your Facebook ad and then get the clients. And that doesn't mean, I mean, I love Facebook ads, really love Facebook ads. So I'll give you an example. And, you know, I've made £49,000 from Facebook ads, you know, but I didn't do an ad with a great headline, so get people sign up to my list and then get them to sign up to a program or with me. You know, what I did was I served people, really help them. And that, you know, that takes me putting myself out there to do that. It wasn't the Facebook ad that made money.
So would you say, with regards to structure and pricing, really you kind of made it up as you went along and what made sense to you in the moment? Because that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did know that because I'd gone through this process and I'd seen this, I do know that Instagram is an amazing place for you to play with, really. You know, I love Instagram. And my clients have real success on there, you know. It's a platform where there's a lot of people, like Facebook is very, like, there's a lot of coaches and, you know, entrepreneurs. And Instagram, there's actually a lot of just normal people on there looking at things they want in everyday life, looking at things they think they need. So it's a really good way for you to be getting in some conversations with them by serving them, showing them, demonstrating that, you know, they're enough too. They're okay being who they are, you know, and just really sort of building those relationships. So I knew that Instagram was key to that program, but I did it on the fly. You know, I hadn't built the program when people enrolled to it. Yeah, so, and then again, you know, from that, I just serve people again. You know, my Jedi Leaders Group really. The thing is, like, my Jedi Leaders Group is really special to me. I adore my clients. Just like my list is really special to me, but it isn't because it's a list and all the techniques work. It's because they're humans. Like, it's a human to human thing. I don't know if that explains anything, but it's really important for me that that's at the essence. Like, you're not. Your content isn't being read by a bot. Your content is being read by a human with the same problems as you've got.
I love that, Nicky, and it, you know, if anyone's read any of Nicky's stuff, and I'm so looking forward to her book coming out because I love the way that she writes, and her newsletters are brilliant. It's real, you know, and I encourage you, if you're interested at all, do sign up to her newsletters and find her, because the way that she writes is so not PC. I don't know if that's the right word. It's not kind of like clean and filtered and safe, if you like. It's just very real and from the heart, and you are talking human to human, which I absolutely love. And I wish more people did that, because it would make, you know, it'd make life interesting or more interesting for all of us that are listening to this sort of stuff. So that would be fantastic. Diane had put something along the lines of she was struggling to she was comparing herself with you, and, you know, there might be other people that are listening to this going, oh, Nicky, there's something special about you, you're different, I'm not where you are, and they're comparing themselves to you. What would you say to them?
The obvious answer, but, you know, maybe listen differently than you've listened before. Like, you can't compare yourself to me or to Kush or to Sid, to anyone, because, like, there's no one newer than you. Like, really, there's no one newer than you. It's you. You know, I'll tell you something. You know what really stuck out for me last week during a webinar I was doing for my Jedi Leaders Group was, I'll tell you little statistics, and these numbers might be slightly wrong, so forgive me, but they're only a few wrong. So 300 trillion to 1 chances of you being born as you. That, to me, like, that's minuscule, like more minuscule than I can ever imagine. 300 trillion to 1. So 300 with 46 zeros to 1 chance of you being born as you. That to me, like, even just knowing that, like, you haven't got a purpose, you don't have to change, like, you were born to be you. Like, you are your purpose. And that really just enables me to say, like, there's no point in not being. You're fighting those odds. That's weird odds to be fighting against. Yeah.
One question, I don't think I've asked this, have I? That Diane asked was what kept you in the game? Because you went through a phase of no money, made money, and then no money again, and then you kind of stayed and now doing much better. What kept you going through the low points?
Just the realization that it is a game. You know, that life isn't serious. Life isn't a serious business. You know, another thing that always sticks out for me, and I drive this home to my clients, regardless of, you know, what they're working with me for, is like, no one in the world, in the history of time, has ever died from a feeling. Ever. Like, we die from doing something about our feelings. And just remembering that is like, like, it is a game. It is a game. It's not that serious.
I love that. No one in the history of the world has died from a feeling, but absolutely, and it's kind of pointing us all to back to the principles, which is what we share. If anyone else has got any questions, please really do use this time to ask anything that you want. Both, you know, use the chat on Zoom or the chat functionality on Facebook Live. I'm trying to balance both. It seems to be working all right so far. But if you've got a question, really do ask it. Oh, and thank you for whoever's pressing the like buttons at the moment at the bottom of the screen. Nicky, question I've got for you is, you know, let's say I'm a coach, I'm listening to this, I would love to be having some of the success that you're having. What advice would you give me to get from where I am right now to where I want to go? I noticed Helen just said Helen, if you've got a question, just type it out. But in the meantime, what advice would you give to other coaches? I mean, you've been around this community, you do talk to coaches. Could you talk to that?
Yeah. There are a few things that stand out. The first thing I would say, in all honesty, is like, get a coach. Stop being a flaky coach who doesn't have a coach. Get a coach, 100%. And if you don't want to get a coach, have a look at why. I would say that. And then I would say is, you know, my next thing is like, slow down, really slow down. I was in such a hurry to get to here. And one of the things that I needed to do was stop rushing to this point. Like, well, we laugh about, it makes me laugh. We've spoke about this at Ankosh. Like, when I first started working with Ankosh, I imagined, to me, I was a really good coach. I just wasn't getting clients or many clients. And now, like today, sitting here, I'm not quite as good as I thought I was then. I got a real sense of that. I'm a good coach, but I've seen blind spots that I didn't know existed. I've uncovered, or you've helped me uncover, my own bullshit. And one of my biggest lies to myself was, I'm a good coach. I'm a really good coach. And I just don't know why I'm getting clients. And the truth was, I'd got a lot to learn still. I wasn't really as good as I thought I was. And knowing that enabled me to then become a better coach. Because whilst I thought I was better than I was never going to learn anything. Like, really get honest with yourself, get curious about that. Are you as good as you think you are? And that, you know, that's I felt that. So I was asking myself that question, kind of, but not allowing it fully. I was saying, yes, I am, yes, I am, yes, I am. And when I got honest and thought, proof is in the pudding, you got no clients. If I was that good, I wouldn't be having a problem getting clients. So, and that wasn't to say that I wasn't a good coach. It just, I wasn't as good as I thought I was. And that was getting in my way.
We've had 3 people ask, what do you mean by a flaky coach, Nicky?
So I was a flaky coach for 2.5 years. And it's I was searching for my answers, not really prepared to know what those answers were, because that would have meant admitting that I wasn't as good as I thought I was, and there was stuff in my life that I needed to deal with. I wanted to do all of that after I became successful. I wanted to be a successful coach, earning lots of money, and then I would sort out everything, because everything looked really manageable. It wasn't bad. I've got a nice relationship, got a good relationship with my children. I've got a good set of friends. But there was stuff, we've talked about stuff, gosh, like the integrity thing hit me hard. We talked about it in relation to my business, and I saw it in every aspect of my life. And I would never have seen that. And what I was doing is speaking to other coaches. So another example would be, you enter into these peer coaching things, which can be really good. But you do that when you want to show off how good a coach you are. You're never really being coached. You never really open up to the fact that, what aren't I really seeing here in that peer coaching, as you do in a coaching relationship, paid coaching relationship. So that's what I mean by flaky coaches. It's, you're not really prepared. You're not coachable yet. You're not ready. And it doesn't mean you won't be. Like I was like that for so long. But if that is you, that's cool. Just look at that, know that. It's not a slight that you're a flaky coach. It's a good place to be, because your next step is, your next step. Where'd you go from there?
What I hear you say is, your words of flaky coach, and everyone would use different things. It's about really committing to being a coach as a professional. And I don't know if I would use those words, Nicky, but I guess what I hear for you, what happened is you went to a place where you went, right, I'm really doing this now. And for you, that meant hiring a coach and investing some money. But that's what I hear. And for different people, it might be different things. You mentioned about integrity, and I really want to bring that out. Could you talk about that, what your insight was around integrity? Because it might help other coaches listening to this too.
Okay, so I realised that it's really important to me that I turn up on time for my clients, and I do that. But I saw that integrity isn't really integrity. I was doing that out of duty. Again, it was a tactic. Turn up for your clients. It wasn't actually, I didn't know why I was doing that really. So what I saw when we looked at integrity more closely was, integrity is doing what you want and committing to that. Like what you want in your heart, finding that and committing to it and doing it. And this showed up everywhere in my life, like not just in my coaching practice. This showed up mainly in my relationship with my partner, my relationship to my kids, to my wider family. So I was renowned in my family for being late, really late for everything. It was really accepted by my family too. I was like, no one took me seriously. It's funny for me to think this now, but this was only this is recently, I'm not even saying this 3 years ago, and I've been an angel since. Like, I'm talking about 2 months ago. No one in my family would have expected me. Like, they wouldn't have even known if I was going to turn up to their wedding. I was that unreliable. Because I've got this inner inner thing going on where I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was making commitments all over the place that I couldn't stick to. And I was so busy doing all of that that a lot of them I couldn't stick to, committing to everything. And once we looked at integrity more closely, all of that, I'm really careful now about what I commit to. And so if I'm not going to a wedding, I'll say, I'm not coming to that wedding. I won't be there. Because it's really important that they know where they stand. Like, I love these people. I don't want to mess them about. I didn't know I was messing about. It looked a funny joke, funny family joke to me. Oh, we don't know whether Nicky will be there or turn up. You know, very accepted and still love me. But there's been a massive difference. It's just, people are saying, you know, my mum, even my mum, who I absolutely worship, can now rely on me to be there when I say I was going to be, or to phone her when I was saying I was going to phone her. And I haven't got, like, it's cut my to-do list down literally. I haven't got as much to do. I don't have to manage all of that feeling that I had when I let people down. And it's okay saying, well, you know, that's thought. I don't even have to say that anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just taking it all off the table. And I didn't realise how much that would impact my business, because as my calendar cleared and my head cleared, and I came from a place of integrity, and I committed to doing what I love and what I want to do and serving people, I really want to do that, you know, and committing to that, I found it almost felt like my working week reduced in terms of how much I have to do, and then expanded in terms of how much space I have to do it in. And the same for my personal life too, just space.
Yeah, I see integrity as doing what you say you're going to do, and saying what you're going to do. Like, it's an integration of your words and your actions. And for me, how the principles fits into that is, if I'm saying things that I'm not going to do, often it's because I'm people pleasing, and I'm people pleasing because of a misunderstanding, right? Or if I say I'm going to do something and then I don't do it, that's often because of a misunderstanding as well. So being much more in integrity became easier the deeper I saw the principles. And also for me, it, from a professional point of view, because we are professionals, we're getting paid, we're professionals, it's something really for our clients to rely on. And I've said this to other coaches, you know, if you're doing pro bono sessions, or you're charging kind of $10 or €20 or something like that, you know, maybe you can get away with it. But once you start charging, you know, real money, whatever that is, right? Once you start charging for your services and people are paying for that, you know, there's going to be a certain level of expectation. And a lot of coaches don't see how, you know, not following through what they say they're going to do and not being that reliable does impact their ability to earn money.
I didn't see. So I kind of knew that, and this is what, you know, other people might know that. And I thought I showed up that way in my business, and to an extent I did. But because I wasn't committing to the, you know, integrity is tied to service, undoubtedly. I wasn't committing to the things that were really useful and of service and in service. I was committing to everything, people pleasing. You know, it was really impacting everywhere, and getting rid of all that, and just, you've got more time to serve, and you serve better, you serve it's a game changer, definitely.
You mentioned earlier, Nicky, that the one piece of advice you'd give everyone is to hire a coach. And, you know, I want to kind of pull something out over here. How do you hire a coach? Like, what do you look for? Do you just go and hire anyone? Do you go online? Like, it seems like a minefield. There's so many coaches out there. There's so many different price points. How do you find a good one? Are they all the same? You know, what's your view on that?
So I'm going to be really honest here. If I was looking for a coach, I wouldn't hire the coach I was 12 months ago. And because I now really understand what coaching means. 12 months ago, I actually didn't. You know, I did. I had some understanding. I've learned so much. And so I have higher expectations of a coach now and would look for different things. And I was really lucky. So I saw you advertise you talk about your women's immersion, and that's how I came to work with you. But it's a time that I really needed. I was really struggling. I'd got all of this stuff going on where I was doing stuff that I didn't want to be doing and not doing the stuff that I wanted to be doing. And I had a conversation with you about your women's immersion, and I just knew there was something in that conversation that I was just really drawn to. And I was really impacted, like immediately impacted. And that's testament to you, being a good coach. And I had other coaching conversations, other conversations with other coaches where that hasn't happened. Like it sounded, yeah, they were telling me what they could do for me, but like that would rely on me believing that rather than me knowing that. And so I would look for that if you have that conversation with someone, with a coach, because the key is to hire a good coach, and that price isn't an indication of a good coach either. We know that, don't we? But yeah, is it someone who's impacting you? Is it someone that you really know, that is really showing, really serving you? Because one thing you do, Posh, and I can, like, you epitomise service. And that's taught me so much. That made me look at, where aren't I doing that? How could I do that better? So that would be my biggest piece of advice in hiring a coach. Like, make sure it's someone, don't just hire someone because they're a coach. And they say, they're relying on you believing that they can do something.
Yeah, what I really heard from you, Nicky, was basically do your due diligence, go and check someone out. And I know I'm not a great coach for everyone. Really, I know that. And as you know, Nicky, I had a client who I was working with, and when we got to the end of our engagement, I suggested they work with you, and they're still working with you because I thought you would be a much better coach for them. And what I hear is don't believe whatever someone's saying. There is no such thing as one great coach for everyone. Yeah. But I agree with you. I think every coach, if they really want to commit to being a professional and doing well in this profession, I think the best thing that you don't have to, but I think the best thing that every coach could do is to hire a coach. And what I always say when I say this, I always give a caveat, which is, do your homework, do your due diligence, check out if they're a good fit for you, check out if you're a good fit for them, because it's a very personal thing. And I signed up a new client earlier this week and yesterday, and what I said to her is, because she was asking about working with me, and I said, look, there's no rush, and you've got to make sure the decision's right for you, and I've got to make sure that the decision's right for me. And I said, you're very careful about who's going to cut your hair, and that's a haircut. And coaching is so much more involved and so much more impactful than getting your hair cut. So if you take, you wouldn't just go to the first hairdresser you saw. You'd ask around. Well, most women I know would do that anyway. And she laughed and she goes, "Yeah, you're right." So I went, "Yeah." So with a coach, make sure that you are as sure as you can that the person that you hire is going to deliver what you want, from that engagement.
And that works, I suppose a good indication for that coach. I don't know what you see in this, but because it works the other way, it works for the coach too. I know when I'm having a conversation that someone's looking to be coached by me, what I'm looking for is, are they the right client for me? I really want to know that I'm going to love working with this person, so that I can really serve them. There are people that I really don't want to work with, So what? I've got a choice. They've got a choice. And there's kind of a meeting of minds where I would want to know that they're checking me out too, as well. And I think you did that with me. I really sensed that you were doing that. like a bit of an audition. You know, and it isn't that you're on show, but it is a two-way thing. You know, the coaching relationship is so special, so deep, like so personal. Like, give yourself that, you know, give yourself a gift of it being a two-way. Is your coach checking you out too? Like, not are they looking to earn like some money from you? Are you the right client? Are they looking if you're the right client for them? Or whether, you know, they might be thinking, well, someone else could be. That's cool.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a really great point. We've got a couple of questions. I'm going to try and get through them before we finish. The first one is from Helen, who asked a little while ago now, what do you do about the times when you feel a bit down or a bit rubbish, and keep up with consistency around, you know, posting on Instagram and Facebook, and not let that go out the window?
I let it go out the window. Like, what's the point? So this is where I disagree about the whole be consistent. What are you being consistent for? Why are you doing something you don't want to do? Go do something you want to do. I just don't see the point in doing that. Like, no one's going anywhere. Your audience is still there. You know, being consistent for the sake of being consistent is you trying to do something about a feeling. Like, we're teaching not to do that. I don't know if that helps, Helen. Sorry if you can imagine walking through.
Well, Helen's just sent a bunch of love hearts on Facebook, so I think that's helpful, and it's a very different approach. And I think one thing I'll add to that is create a system that works for you. So when I was doing my relationship series podcast, it was hard for me to do it every single week. So what I would sometimes do is record a bunch of them when I was, you know, feeling like doing it, and have them lined up so that I just needed to send them out 1 week at a time, you know, as opposed to, you know, kind of making it humdrum, like every week I've got to do this. Another question we had from Fiona. Fiona said, Nicky, could you talk a bit about the things that you dropped, the should do's and need to do's? How did you do less for these, and what did you find out when you got curious about them?
Okay, so one thing that comes to my mind, you know, the first thing to happen with that was Stephen came in from work one day.
And Stephen's your partner.
Stephen's my partner, and he came in from work one day. And I looked at him, and the first thing that went through my mind is, shit, I haven't cleaned up. I'd done a level of cleaning up. My house was a mess, but I hadn't cleaned up. Like, to my usual standard, I'd been really busy, blah, blah, blah. And and all day I kept thinking, I should clean up, I need to clean up, I should clean up, I need to clean up. And I watched him when he come through the house. And he walked into the kitchen and he slammed the kettle onto the electric thing. And I got all like, oh, I'm ready for an argument. Like, what's up with you? And he said, nothing. And I said, yes, there is. It's because I haven't cleaned up. And he looked at me and he said, well, you haven't. And you know what came into my mind? I said, it was because we'd had this conversation, and what came into my mind is, you know, Stephen, we've never agreed that it's me that's going to do the cleaning up. Like, have we? And he just looked at me and he said, no. And it was just a real, I'm not cleaning up then. And what came out of that is, it isn't that I don't do the cleaning up, I do, obviously. But something shifted over the next few weeks. I want to clean up. I don't have that I should clean up. I want to clean up. Because now we've got an understanding, like a verbal agreement, that we both share that responsibility. It isn't on me to should do or need to do. And it's changed. It's changed from a should or need to, I want to clean up. It's just a funny thing. And I've got more space for that because there's so much other things that I don't need to do that I'm not doing. I'm not thinking, oh, I need to do, you know. like posting on Instagram if I haven't that day, or like we should on ourselves all the time, don't we? But I noticed how much I looked at others for their opinion on my shoulds and my needs, and getting clear on that, getting clear that what we're going to do about that. So this has impacted me massively in a lot of ways.
Something that Steve told me a while ago, maybe a year, 2 years ago, which never left me, was he said, if I was on commission for your coaching practice, so he said, if I was going to take a cut of every client you had, so it was in his absolute interest for me to maximize how much money I was going to make. He said what he would get me to do is spend every day doing the things I really loved. And I really didn't expect him to say that. So kind of talking to Fiona's point in terms of what do you drop the things you don't enjoy doing. And I kind of say this to coaches all the time, that there's nothing you need to do. You look at Steve Hardison, who makes a hell of a lot of money as a coach, and he has no website, or he does, but he doesn't. I don't think it's his daughter did it for him, but that's not how he gets his clients. He's written no books, he's got no blogs, he's got very few resources out about him, and he does it all through word of mouth. And you've got him on one side, and you've got coaches who make millions of dollars doing the internet marketing thing, and you've got everyone in the middle.
Yeah. And it is, but what you love to do changes. I'm really enjoying, like, I get up in the morning, I love cleaning up, like getting my house really nice, and knowing that I'm just going to set off to work that day. And so it's changed from something that I didn't like doing and that was a chore and I needed to do, to something that I want to do and love doing. And that's part of my day. It's a really simple example, like ditching it made me bring it back. Yeah.
Have you got time for one last question? And this will be the final question for today.
Yeah.
All right. So Emma Burns has said, how did you cover financing when things were quiet? And did you think of giving up?
Cover financing when things are quiet. Well, covering financing when things are quiet got me into £149,000 worth of debt. Like, I don't let things get quiet now, is the answer. But I have done, and it's a process, it's a journey. So, there's even something to see in that. I mean, I'd need to know more, and I don't know, but like, what you can do other things for finances when things are quiet with your coaching. There's other ways to make money, and I really saw that. I probably should have got a job for the first 2 years of my coaching career. And if I was working with me, if I was my coach back then, I'd be saying, get a job and then let's start building your coaching practice. I don't know what someone's individual circumstances are, so I'm not telling you all to get a job. But your finances are not the problem. What you can do stuff about it. Doesn't mean your finances don't have implications, because mine had massive ones. But yeah, I feel like right now, without knowing more, that's about as much as I can say.
Yeah, I said at the event Steve and I did last year, if you need a client to pay your bills, you don't need a client, you need a job. And I've recommended to a number of coaches, it doesn't need to be a full-time job, but I recommended to a number of coaches, go and get a part-time job. And I feel an awful lot of coaches quit their full-time jobs to nothing and have no coaching business built up, which often takes a lot longer than they anticipate. And then they get themselves into this vicious cycle of burning through their savings, having no money, and then getting more and more desperate, which puts potential clients off. So go on.
No, I won't add any more, because that's it actually. But yeah, I can really resonate with that, Push. Yeah.
I was going to say, unbelievably, we've got to over an hour and 5 minutes now. So we've gone well over. The time's absolutely flown by. I hope people have really enjoyed that. We've had a really consistent number of participants I've been watching on the Facebook Live and on the Zoom. If you didn't have your question answered, or if you just want to connect with Nicky, What's the best way people can do that, Nicky?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Nicky Bartley, obviously, or you can email me at nicky@nickybartley.com. But you'll find me on Facebook or Instagram under Nicky Bartley. Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Nicky, for joining us. I hope people have enjoyed that. Nicky's in our group, so if you're watching this on Facebook, you can connect with her, in the group. She's great over there, and I can see Helen doing all sorts of likes at the bottom of the page. I hope everyone really enjoyed that. Again, if you've got any other questions, if you're shy to ask anything, if you don't want to ask Nicky, you can always reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions. And I'll be back next month. I know I've been a little bit quiet. I've been away gallivanting. My brother got married and I've been off to Devon. So I've been a little bit quiet in the group in August, but I'm back now. And I'll be back next month, where we've got a great guest for you next month. And we'll be announcing that shortly. So stay tuned for that. And thanks again, Nicky.
Thanks, Ankush. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.